This week on FUT Weekly.
We provide some totally free kick advice.
FUT Economist talks Player of the Month and quickfire sniping.
Penn gives us the lowdown on when to watch Dembele.
Horace uses a non-rare card for the whole weekend league.
As always, we talk through the Team of the Week, Player of the Week, and informed impressions.
Hello, welcome to week 24 of FUT Weekly. I'm here with Horace, as always.
Hello.
And I'm Ben, and it's not been a stellar week as far as FIFA is concerned, but it's kept us plodding along.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a bit of stuff. There were FA Cup Man of the Matches last Wednesday, European Man of the Matches on Friday. So we'll talk about a few of them in a bit more detail later on.
Yeah, and a cracking Team of the Week as well.
Yeah,
so
very nice Team of the Week.
We've given over a bit more time to, I think, this week to talk over.
Yeah, taking a closer look at some cards. As a Cavani SBC.
Yes.
Yeah. 300 career goals. You going to do it?
Hell no.
Yeah, I mean, he's just had an upgrade from his base card from an 85 to an 86, which means this card is an 87. But he's got 3-4 special cards ahead of that. And even his 87 rated inform looks significantly, or not significantly, but a bit better than this SBC card.
And it's not expensive, that card. It's like 60k or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you're desperate for a special Cavani card and you've got no coins, this is the cheapest way to get one. Yeah. But it doesn't look brilliant.
No, I mean, I've already recently got a SBC Uruguayan striker, so yeah, he's a bit better as well. So probably
a little bit.
Probably not that keen. I mean, he's one of those players. He's like really annoying to play against, but he's got 3-star skills, 3-star weak foot. He's got a weird balance of strength and acceleration. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be worth it, and I don't know. I just don't want to. There's also this thing. I think it's reaching that stage in the game where you don't really want to lock away that many coins.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's a small thing, what's the point in locking it away when I could go out and buy him if I really wanted to and set them on?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got my kind of. I mean, you've got Suarez, obviously. I've got Zlatan, Player of the Month. I've got Dele Alli, Player of the Month. Son, Player of the Month, and the Buffon.
Of course,
card.
yeah, I've got Buffon. Yeah.
Those are my probably biggest untradeable SBC cards that I've got.
And so, do you regret any of them? Do you think?
Buffon, I'd say.
Yeah, me too.
The card, it just doesn't work.
No,
he doesn't work as well as he should. He's really disappointing as a goalkeeper.
As we mentioned when we spoke to Japes a week or two ago, there is this thing that keepers work for certain people, and both of us don't pray. No, we're very non-religious. No, we don't play that low pressure.
Yeah,
and he's a keeper that isn't quite so good at one-on-ones, and he's not got the best reflexes. Although on the card there, it is good enough. So he's more of a keeper. He won't let in your dodgy long shots. He's quite solid from distance.
Yeah, but he just doesn't dominate his box.
No,
and anything short range
in
where
around
it requires a reaction save, he's just all over the place. I've conceded some really weird goals with him. Yeah, so I mean, he's probably the only one of those bigger SBC cards that I've got that I regret getting. I've got a few of the other quite cheap ones, like Mike Jensen and stuff.
They were
there's
and David Villa as well.
Yeah. He's a good card.
Yeah, it's quality.
But yeah, as you say, you don't want to be locking away lots of coins. Kind of, we're starting to get in towards Team of the Season's not that far away. You want to have your coins liquid.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a really big important thing to say at this stage when you're coming into sort of, I guess, even April time. You want to make sure you've got those big assets, which are definitely the ones that are going to get Team of the Seasons sold up, because they're only going to drop dramatically in price. And you think about some of the Team of the Year cards that we're going to see. I mean, they are going to be not only valuable, but they're going to far outstrip some of the current cards we have, which are effective. You might see, I mean, to be honest, if you have a decent Team of the Season side with a couple of Team of the Seasons, it's going to be way better than most people's teams which have a couple of informs, especially if they're not second or third informs.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's also going to be interesting to see how EA handle Team of the Season this year, because we've obviously it's the first time we've had SBCs existing. At the same time, kind of in previous years they've done tournaments or last year they did tournaments where you could win Team of the Season cards. Might we see an SBC for certain Team of the Season cards?
Do you think maybe those tournaments were kind of a test to see how interested people were of gaining those untradeable?
Yeah, I think quite possibly. I think it's probably the idea of having people being able to get high quality untradeable cards through special means is something they would have had for a while, and whether or not they're already planning, I assume SBCs must have sort of existed by team in the season time last year because it was going into the upcoming game. But yeah, it's probably something that's been on their mind for a while.
Yeah, I wonder whether we might see sort of an SBC for each of the league team of the seasons.
Yeah, it's possible.
I imagine.
And of course, the other big question is how generous they are with the upgrades. And we've seen on average what a kind of +5 is the team of the season standard, +5 or 6. Maybe they'll go bigger. Maybe they'll go smaller. Maybe. It's hard to say.
You wouldn't have thought they'd go hugely bigger than that because obviously the team of the years weren't sort of hugely bigger than that.
Yeah.
And that is what is the kind of always considered, your Neymar, well actually Neymar might not get a team of the year, but
team of the season.
Your sort of Suarez, he's not going to go above the team of the year Suarez. Important to note for people who are new to the game. The team of the year cards are the best cards of the year.
Yeah.
Or at least that's always been the case.
So it'd take quite a major change if they did switch like that. But yeah, in terms of immediate things that have been happening, how was your weekend league?
Well, it was just a bit of a damp squib of a weekend league. Like, it never really got going. I did find out afterwards that my LB button was broken, which is change player on Xbox. So that definitely wasn't helping. Because I kept saying, I sent you a message saying, I've got bad delay. Doesn't feel like I can defend at all because of it. But I think it was actually just because my LB button wasn't pressing.
Your player switching was all...
Yeah, so it felt like it was lagging. But it was actually because I had to press
properly.
the button really, really hard to get it to work. So that was a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, I can't even remember how many wins I got now. But I didn't get a goal with one, and I didn't really enjoy the team I was using. I tried to switch to a 4-1-2-1-2 every game because I wasn't really that happy with the 4-3-2-1. But to be honest, I just don't enjoy playing like that. And I was saying on Twitter, I've switched out to a wide formation, false 9. It just feels much, much more effective and just it kind of suits my style more, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, how was yours?
Yeah, mine was it's a bit of a heartbreaker in the end. I pretty much missed the first 2 weekends in February. I played, well, I didn't completely miss. I got like 9 wins and 5 wins, and barely played more games than that. I was really happy with my win rates. I kind of won almost all the games I played in those, but then got I think 25 or maybe 20. Yeah, I got 25 last weekend. And basically how it left me was I needed 28 wins to get gold monthly, which the most I'd got before was 26. And on that instance, like I didn't play my very last game because I just got frustrated with it.
Yeah.
And so I went into this weekend league sort of thinking that's if things are going well about the halfway stage, I can try and push for that. But otherwise, I'll just maybe aim for gold 1 and get gold 1. It's a solid weekly reward. I played my first handful of games on Friday, then went out, had some stuff to do, came back, played a bit more in the evening, and was on a sort of all right record, like slightly more wins than losses after about 6 games. I then went on a run of winning almost every game I played. Until on Saturday, and ended up on 20 wins and 6 losses. So I had 14 games to go, and I needed 8 wins to get gold monthly, or 9 to get elite for the week, which would have been very nice. And I thought, okay, I'll stop here. I'm quite tired. It's kind of like 2 a.m. on Saturday, and I'll have a good go at it on Sunday. People tend to like rage quit more frequently on Sunday because they're desperate to get their games played. It'll be fine. Start playing on Sunday. I won my first game, then had a really frustrating loss in my second one, and I think the doubts just started to creep in really early. My mental state was all over the place, and basically I choked, and I ended up winning 6, losing 7, and not playing my last game.
Wow.
Taking me to 26 wins from 39 games, which was exactly the same as I did the weekend before. And yeah, so I ended up 2 wins off monthly without playing my last game because it was no longer possible to get, and it was a real kick in the guts.
Yeah, I think
one.
I feel like it was it's one of those weird things with weekend league where I feel like the last sort of 10 games or so are always so much tougher than.
You've really got to concentrate because you've been playing a lot of FIFA over several days, and I think even if you feel kind of fresh on the day, you're still a bit tired out from it longer term.
Yeah, and I think there is just definitely kind of this thing called ELO, which people may have heard mentioned, other people may not know what it is, but it's sort of a ranking system that is invisible within the game. It definitely existed in divisions, and it has, I think, existed this year and previous years in divisions. And I think this year it does seem that it exists in Weekend League, where basically it's kind of invisible, but it makes sure that you're playing someone of not too similar kind of skill level. And I think that when you go on a streak where you win lots of games, your ELO kind of increases, and then you're playing like much
you get matched up against
tougher opponents. At least on average, those opponents are going to be tougher. Which is why a lot of people are like, oh, you know, suddenly everything went to pot, I couldn't do anything. But actually, it may well be that you're playing tougher opponents, because, well, I certainly haven't played many top 100 players, but there are very good players I know play sort of the top players.
Yeah.
Often because their ELO is very high. So I think it must be a factor. And also EA kind of have to do that, because imagine you're going into the Weekend League and you've qualified through the tournament and you're not the best player. If you're going to lose almost every game, I mean, that's really tough. And so I think they do try and slightly match
I suppose, I mean, there are people who will be playing Weekend League and who do lose almost every game. It's sort of, I don't know. There's no official word from EA on whether or not it is used for matchmaking in FUT Champions, but as you say, it's definitely been in divisions in the past, and pretty sure it's in divisions this year. So it would be interesting to get clarity on that, I think.
I certainly just feel like I often play tougher players the more wins I get.
Yeah.
And I don't know, having played enough Weekend League, I think it doesn't feel too much of a leap to say that it is in the game, but how much and how it affects you is another thing. Yeah,
for sure. Well, moving on from the Weekend League and associated heartbreak / triumph, or lack of triumph, there's a question we got asked kind of maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago about free kicks, and the suggestion in the question was that with one of the patches that EA released, tweaking gameplay, they ruined free kicks and basically made it impossible to score direct free kicks, which I don't think either of us had been feeling at that point. But the kind of gist of the question was, how do you take free kicks? How do you score them? And I think we've both had like a relatively high level of success with free kicks this year. Certainly more than the last couple of years. FIFA, I'd say.
We've always been kind of like decent free kick taking players. Like over the years, I think we've always scored a decent amount. Maybe partly because we sort of would chat about, you know, how we maybe have had success with free kicks ourselves, and sort of given the I think pointers as well. But there's
been a kind of general technique that has worked for free kicks down the years, which is if you're
for maybe 6 years or so.
About 25 yards out, you do kind of spin at a diagonal, kind of the opposite way to your player's strong foot. So if it's a right-footed player, you do top spin to the left, and if it's a left-footed player, you do top spin to the right, trying to curl it kind of around the wall into the top corner. You kind of aim kind of a little bit outside the post and do between like 2 and 3 bars power.
Yeah, and I think it's important to start off with low power. If you're, you know, just trying out a new free kick taker, especially, start off with a lower power, because you're either going to test the keeper or it's going to deflect off the wall, you'll get a corner. Don't go in with like a big power bar, trying to smash it.
Try and do the driven free kicks and stuff.
Yeah.
But they have increased the variety of free kicks you can score this year, kind of by making it so you can tweak your player's run up and allowing you to take outside of the foot free kicks.
Yeah.
That is an extra thing, that an extra way you can score. I've not actually done that much at all. I found it way too inconsistent.
Earlier on in the game, I scored an absolute cracker with Charisma. I don't know whether you remember seeing that. Outside the foot from a distance. And maybe we'll post that on Twitter. But so it is possible to score those, but they're much lower percentage. But also it takes a while to sort of manoeuvre the player into position. It's hard to get an accurate run-up that's the same every time.
Yeah.
It's kind of important that you kind of keep things consistent. One of the most difficult things, I think, is that the player you've got makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you had a lot of success with Ericsson.
Yeah, so right at the start of the game, I used the 84 Ericsson, and I had him with Deadeye. And I think I didn't really think about it when I applied the chem style, but it gives +10 to free kicks and curve. So he was on 97 free kick accuracy, 95 curve, and 88 shot power. And I got to a point where using from about 25 to 30 yards, a bit further out, using the driven free kick and about 3 to 3.5 bars of power, kind of in swinging off his right foot.
So same kind of method of curling.
Yeah,
ball
yeah,
that we were
kind
talking
of
about before.
top spin to the left with a right-footed player. I was genuinely scoring kind of, it felt like more than half the free kicks I was taking. I kind of felt so confident with them and so confident with him specifically. And I think it's really important that you get the right balance of stats. And free kick accuracy and curve are almost a lot more important than shot power. I think anywhere between kind of 85 and 95 shot power is sort of good for a free kick taker. If they've got maxed out shot power and they don't have the free kick accuracy and curve to balance that out, then the shot power can just massively overpower them, and you just end up skying free kicks left, right, and centre. I find that with Ian Robin. I've got a red 88 version of Ian Robin. He's got good free kick stats. He's got kind of mid 80s, but because I've got him with Hunter, I think he has maxed out shot power, and it does feel like he just skies every free kick I take.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can try it with low power from like, as long as you're not too close, then it can work out all right. But yeah. The free kick take you've got does make a huge difference, and note the chem styles because it does, again, also make a huge difference. Like I had Suarez, had him with Engine, which obviously boosts free kick stats, took that off to put him on Hunter, and again, he's not nearly the same free kick taker he was with Engine, so definitely worth noting.
Yeah, but in short, in terms of whether the patch made a difference, neither of us noticed much of a change.
No, I don't think I've noticed much of a change at all. I mean, so one thing I do think makes a sort of definite difference is if you have lag, a bit of delay, often the curl of the ball, so like the curling action, doesn't translate and doesn't register, and then that can cause like obviously a shocking free kick.
Yeah.
And if that kept happening because of a bit of lag, then obviously that could make someone think that maybe they'd done something to them. Yeah,
it's true. It's something I think It's something I think the best way to get better at free kicks is just to practice them. Potentially, literally just do the skill games over and over, because it is offline. It is different in terms of the stat balances of the players, but some of the very best free kick takers offline will have comparable stats to the sorts of players you'll be using online. Yeah. It definitely is a skill that translates, and just spend some time doing that, because you get so few chances in online games to do them that if you don't practice a lot, then you're never really going to get the chance to improve, because if you're taking maybe like probably one direct free kick every other game on average, like they're not that common.
But there are also great chances.
But they are really good chances to score goals, yeah.
And sometimes people, as you probably know, you may do this yourself, put players on the line, which is a bit frustrating, but I've had a bit of success with a little dink over the wall, because if someone puts a player on the line, then your players sometimes fill it in around that player because they realise obviously
they're now on side.
And sometimes you can just with X or square chip it over the wall, and one of your players may head it in.
Yeah.
And you've got another technique you've used quite successfully with the second man.
Yeah, so this is something that actually I've not had that much success with lately. But earlier on this game, if I got free kicks on the edge of the box, I'd use the third man dummy. So what it does, you press RB or you press L1, it pulls up a man next to your man who's about to take the free kick. You hold RB and you do the controls for a dummy. So you do B and then straight into A.
Or you can do X and
straight into A on Xbox, or circle straight into X and square straight into X on PlayStation to get all the shapes and letters confusing everyone. And so you hold RB and you do a dummy, and that makes that player run to the ball and run straight over it. And as soon as they've done that, you just start hammering pass with or you just tap pass with your main free kick taker. So you let go of RB and you just press A or X and do a little short pass. And what they should do, ideally, is the dummy man will run over the ball and continue running into the box. And your free kick taker will come up to the ball and then just play a short pass straight in behind them and either take one touch or no touch, just first time, and just shoot. And I actually had a period of time where I was scoring really consistently with that, because it kept catching people out. But it was only really effective if the free kick was pretty much like right on the edge of the box. So again, quite an unusual situation.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good, especially because sometimes you'll be in a position where it
gives you more variety when a traditional shot won't really work.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're ready to have a chat with Jamie.
Hey guys.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah. Are you fresh off some interesting investments?
Yeah, actually. I'm in an investing club at my school, and we just happened to A couple of political things went our way for a Mongolian gold company. Seems like they're going to be making a lot of money.
So it's a fairly normal Thursday morning? No, afternoon.
Afternoon for me, yeah. I suppose so.
In the world of FUT and real life economist, Jamie. Cool. Well, let's get going straight away on what's been going on. I guess place to start, sort of the investments in the wake of these two weekend league requirements we've had. What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I mean, it was definitely a popular investment. A lot of people picked up Premier League, high end Premier League players, Calcio players, or sorry, not Calcio, Liga Santander, Bundesliga, and then Legends. Because of the restrictive weekend league requirements, a lot of people were buying and selling them. So essentially, that led to crazy drops in their price. The lowest we've seen all year. And if you timed it correctly, you were able to buy them, and then you could actually, earlier this week, you could sell them at extremely high premiums. A lot of people think that those cards are actually going to continue to rise throughout the next couple of weeks, just because there's 2 open weekend leagues coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I actually don't think that's the case for 2 main reasons. The first is that these past 2 weekends led to, and the restrictive weekend requirements led to high churn, as I call it, which is, people had to make significant changes to their teams, if not change their entire team, just to meet these weekend league requirements. And every time they do that, they're losing 5% on their entire tax.
Yeah.
So just in theory, if, say they're using 80% of their club's value and then 40% of the players are playing weekend league, they're losing 5% on that club value. That's around between 5 and 8% of the total market's buying power has been cut.
Yeah.
So if you look at sort of the macro trend of where prices usually go, and then you take that into consideration, then the prices that they're at right now are actually above, or what they're at Tuesday in particular, were above what they were before they actually crashed, which should have indicated that they aren't going to recover as well. And you've actually seen them sort of dip down over the past couple of days. And then reason number 2 is that, and we've talked about this before, as EA continued to release more competitive alternatives, the Mkhitaryan man of the match is the most recent example. That's a crazy card. The Eber man of the match is another crazy card. It's just going to keep splitting demand between these high-end players.
Yeah.
And people they're just not going to be willing to pay the exuberant amounts of coins for someone like a high-end legend when they could just replace them with a fairly comparable team of the week or inform.
Yeah, we saw that a bit this week with Naby Keita's third inform. I saw people comparing his stats to Hullet, and in terms of the card stats, they're so similar. Mm-hmm. It's just, Hullet's taller and has 4-star skills and links to everyone, just a little bit. But yeah, no, definitely this kind of saturation of elite cards.
Yeah, I guess you just got less people willing to, you got less competition for players because there are more players out there, I suppose.
And moving on, looking ahead, we're coming up to week 25 of this FIFA cycle. We've seen, it's been a while now since we've had a Team of the Week SBC, and they've generally coincided with multiple of 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Do you think we could be in line for one next week?
It's certainly possible. I would love if that was actually the case. And to your point, as sort of building a case for a Team of the Week SBC, I guess you could say we're due for one. We haven't had one in a while. And it is on that iteration of 5. So I guess that's something that you can sort of look at and say we might have a Team of the Week SBC. But at the same time, they have not updated their online assets. That's something that we looked at earlier in the year. We were sort of hinted off that Team of the Week SBC number 10 and number 15 were both in the online assets thing that was sort of found on Reddit earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And they've actually continued to update that throughout the year with, SBCs that are coming out. We saw the Footmas ones. I think we saw the Lunar New Year ones on that one. And there hasn't been anything that we've seen indicating that there'd be a Team of the Week SBC coming out for the 25th Team of the Week. That being said, it's definitely not a bad thing to go out and invest in players that are 83 through 85 rated. Earlier in the week, they were actually at their all-time low for the year. A couple of people tweeted about it, including myself. I don't know if you listeners saw it, but that was actually a really good time to go invest. And even still now, if you're just hearing this for the first time, investing in 82 through 85 rated players is actually a good look, especially the guys that got their rating refreshed, because they, for some reason, the market hasn't priced in the fact that they can have potential to be used in SBCs. So a lot of the guys, like Gillick, I think is a great example.
Yeah,
is actually far cheaper than the other. I think 83s. I could be mistaken. Whatever his.
He was the centre back at Monaco. He was an 83 and got refreshed to an 84, I think.
Okay, yeah. So he's far cheaper. His 84 is far cheaper than the other 84s on the market. So it's something to look at.
Interesting.
Yeah, and as far as investing goes in that, I have a lot of people asking, like, should I focus on one player or should I focus on just like, how should I invest in that? And I would advise against filling up your transfer list with 100 whatever player you pick, and would rather go out and pick all of the cheapest 84s, 85s, 83s, 81s that you can find, and then just get one copy of each and store them all in your club.
Yeah, save transfer list. Yeah.
Saves your transfer list, and also even if you're just one person listing, it's going to take you a little while to shift on 100 of the same card.
Right, exactly.
Looking then also ahead to what we're pretty certain is going to happen next week, second Friday of the month, Player of the Month for the Premier League. Big contenders: Lukaku, Harry Kane. Where's your money?
Yeah, so Lukaku and Harry Kane are probably the front runners. I've heard a number of people talk about how this could be the month that a defender or even a goalkeeper, people are saying that De Gea has a chance, make their stand and say like, hey, I don't think a defender has won in over 8 months or something like that.
Wow.
So I'm a little bit skeptical that a non-striker or non-attacking player is going to win it, which is why I have my money and my investments in Lukaku and Kane. I guess we could just briefly go over a couple of investments, just generally, and they're really not any different from what they've been in previous months. We just taking into account what they've done in previous months as the requirements. Obviously, you've got informs from their nations, so Belgian informs and English informs, high-rated players from the specific teams, so from Everton and then Tottenham, informs from the Premier League, high-rated players from the Premier League. 1 to 2 players from previous teams. So for Lukaku, that's I always pronounce this wrong. Anderlecht,
Chelsea, I think.
Anderlecht,
the Belgian team.
Yeah,
Anderlecht.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, the one that Tillemans plays on now, right?
Yeah. Have you seen his goals recently?
His goals are
oh my god,
his long shots.
Crazy, and both feet as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the tenacity to take them alone is
exactly.
impressive. Yeah, so that team, Chelsea, West Brom, Everton, and then for Kane, Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich City, and Leicester City. I think he went on loan there for a couple months.
Okay, interesting.
And then finally just 1 to 2 players from the teams that those two
players scored against
played during the month. Yeah, so Bournemouth, Middlesbrough, Sunderland for Lukaku, and then for Kane, Middlesbrough, Liverpool, and Stoke.
Nice, summed up nicely.
Yeah, and I guess one other question, I've seen a lot of people talking about how these Player of the Month cards aren't going to be worth it because Lukaku or Kane are both going to get Team of the Season cards in not that long. Regardless of whether you think it's worth it to the SBC, from a trading point of view, do you think that'll decrease demand for the SBC?
That's definitely a possibility, especially if it was Kane. A lot of people are sort of sour about Kane. They see his pace. They can't really get over that.
Yeah.
So if it was someone like Kane, the demand for it would be particularly low. Especially combine that with the fact that the race for the winners this month are so tight. I guess no one really knows who's a surefire bet to win this. The general consensus in the investing community is that Lukaku is sort of like the shoe-in, but like I said, it's a really tight race. So I think selling into the hype is going to be more important this month than really any other month.
Yeah.
You really don't want to be caught. For example, Swedish informs. When you go back to Ibra, if you had Swedish informs and you held them until Ibra was actually released, then you were a very upset trader.
Yeah, dead in the water, really. I remember watching. I was following the price of Forsberg's second in form in the run up to Ibra, and it just literally depended on when a big FIFA celebrity had tweeted about the player of the month, and he would just spike up to his max price like each time. So it's the player of the month one is always a bit risky, I guess. Yeah, as you say, selling into the hype is the safe way to go.
And like just as a general sort of comment about investments for SBCs at this point, the player of the month isn't a surprising SBC anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's not. The requirements are relatively well known. There's only so many times that they can reinvent the wheel here. So we pretty much know what the investments are going to be, and just sort of in general, like markets sort of just price in the potential for SBCs in all these players. So at some point, unless you're ridiculously early, you're going to have to sort of beat the market and sort of get out quickly, which is why something like marquee matchups in the beginning of the year were sort of like the go-to way to make coins. But since then, they've just sort of it's gotten to the point where you can hardly make any profit because half the time you're going to be wrong, and then the other half of the time you have so many other people doing the same exact thing, trying to sell the same exact thing that it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you think that for EA, that's actually a good thing? They kind of don't want people just making loads of profit off it. They'd rather see, every player get the opportunity to complete your marquee matchup rather than pay a fortune for something that's not really worth it.
I don't know.
It's kind of a bigger question, I suppose. Like, how much do EA want trading to happen, and how much do they sort of think that it's just because it is a sort of relative minority that actually do trade,
right?
I'll
share with you that they're just especially recently you'll notice that as a trading influencer, if you will. A lot of them are on Twitter, a lot of them are on Twitch, some of them are on YouTube. As they become more popular and they sort of pass this threshold of popularity, you'll notice that all at once the community managers will follow them on Twitter.
Interesting,
and we have this theory that they're monitoring what we tweet about and what we talk about, and they purposely craft the SBC requirements so that they don't. maybe it's just us being bitter about being wrong.
Yeah.
But we have a theory that they're doing it on purpose.
It would kind of make sense to an extent, wouldn't it?
Well, it's all like. Any predictions that the trading community are making are all very public and very open, so it's not like it would be hard for EA to be aware of that and tweak things slightly, you'd think.
Right.
So yeah, I guess we can't say for certain either way, but I definitely take your point. That does seem quite likely.
Little conspiracy theory.
Moving away to something that's quite real and also quite straightforward in terms of making profit, not an investment, but flipping players. Obviously, I know you've mentioned before we came onto recording that there's quite good potential to flip refreshed players.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's trading, if you will, as opposed to investing, is definitely a lot more straightforward. It's a bit more time-consuming and tedious, but there's definitely inefficiencies in the market that you can take advantage of. One in particular, like you mentioned, is sort of sniping the rating refresh players. The upgraded players are going for premiums that I think are sort of preposterous considering their marginal upgrades, but that doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what I think, it just matters what the market thinks, right? So the market, for example, is willing to pay far more for someone like an 83 rated Kantes than an 81 rated Kantes, but the average player that packs an 83 rated Kantes doesn't necessarily know that, so when they look up the price of the 81 rated Kantes, they might list their 83 rated Kantes at the 81 rated price. Meaning that if you can pick out someone like Kantes who has a high volume, and you're patient enough, then you can actually snipe him at the 81 rated price and then sell at the 83 rated price, which he should be going at because he's an 83 rated card. That's just, that's not super complicated or anything like that. It just requires a lot of patience. Just some general tips. You're going to want to do that around popular times where a lot of cards are coming onto the market. So maybe during promotional packs, during when Weekend League rewards drop. And there's also a number of ways to do it so that you can refresh the search extremely quickly, and you can find those tutorials online.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. Well, does that sort of wrap us up for this week?
Yeah, I think it's an abundance of different trading methods there.
Yeah. Go and make yourself some coins, boys.
Yeah. And girls.
And girls. And any other gender identities.
Yeah.
Listen to us.
Anyone is welcome to get trading on the FIFA market. It's an open church.
Yeah. So as always, guys, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, nice to have you, and catch up again soon.
Speak to you soon.
Talk to you next week.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, welcome back. Lovely break as always. And we have, obviously, we're going to look at the team of the week, but we've also got our player of the week, who's a bit of a throwback to Dynamite discard. We've got informed impression, and we're going to look at some of those European man of the match cards. But first of all, Horace, what are your thoughts on this team of the week?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty stacked one, to be honest. You've got, I was looking, between the 94 Lewandowski, 90 Kane, 88 Nainggolan, 88 Verratti, and 89 Fabregas. I think between them, they've had 18 special cards already. Wow. Factor in Naby Keita, who's also on a third inform. We're really seeing EA kind of being happy just to have players get like a ridiculous number of special cards, whereas previously I think you were saying kind of a player would have to outdo what they did to get their previous inform. Now, we saw Higuain get his 93 rated inform for 2 goals, which seems
Higuain
mad.
scoring 2 goals. It's not exactly like a collector's item, is it?
And I mean, all those cards I just mentioned look awesome. That Nainggolan is ridiculous now. His third inform and his team of the season card will EA be cruel and give it 89 pace, or will we see the first all 90s card?
I think I don't know. That's the kind of thing they like to do, isn't it?
Yeah,
sort of troll everyone by just dropping it. But at the same time, you can think, imagine the hype. All 90, it'd be the first card.
First time ever.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite popular. But I mean, he looks like probably the best midfielder in the game at the moment. I mean,
yeah, other than the 4-star skills, he's probably better than Hullet.
Yeah, I suppose more sort of true box to box.
Yeah.
If you're not so worried about skills, it's more of a defensive role, then he's probably the best player.
Yeah, he looks awesome. I mean, it's cards over $1 million at the moment, as it probably should be, given how useful it is. The 94 Lewandowski, I'm sure, is awesome. 90 Kane, likewise. That Verratti with different chem styles looks decent, and we finally got a Verratti card with maybe usable shooting.
Yeah.
He's got 70 on card. His finishing's still pretty atrocious, but his long shots and shot power are actually maybe usable.
The only thing was about him, he had 99 positioning if he boosted shooting in any way, but he just couldn't finish when he got there.
Yeah, exactly. He gets into the right positions and probably prevents another player being in that position and then finishes terribly. Other cards to maybe look at. Alex Sandro. People have been waiting for an inform for him all game pretty much, because his 84 non-inform is arguably the best left back in the game.
Yeah, he's a big weekend player.
Yeah, he's really, really good. Van Aanholt looks a solid option, maybe better going forwards than defensively.
Yeah, I was looking, his interceptions are actually, it's only really 70 weak on the card. I do think interceptions are important in this game, and it's hard to boost interceptions, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe you just go for it and go with Shadow, because that's one of the biggest boosts to interceptions. But yeah, he's still a shout for one of the best left backs, because there really aren't many quick options in the Premier League.
Yeah, true. Actually, not many pushing that 90 pace without Kim Star. Speaking of quick fullbacks, Nelson Semedo, second inform for him. 94 pace on cards, 80 plus on everything except shooting.
Yeah,
looks really, really good as an option. I think you've used him, haven't
you?
Yeah,
well, I've used his first inform, and he was phenomenal. I put Backbone on him, and I was looking at his stats. You probably want to do that as well. Sort of gets really solid stats, all above 85 on the important tackling, defensive stats, 94 standing tackle, as well. And you've also got exceptional passing, really good dribbling, and 96 stamina or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you can fit him in a team, he's someone you definitely want to try.
Yeah. Other players, Toornstra, Dutch player. He's a cam. He's been upgraded from a silver to a gold. His regular card was, and then he's got an inform. I mean, I guess within days, because he would have been a rest of the world upgrade. This card looks alright actually. He's got 80 dribbling, 81 shooting, 83 passing, 80 physical. I look his in-game stats. He's got some alright ones, decent long shots, really good passing all around. Not very agile. I mean,
link him up with Willems as one of our Twitter followers did in a team, which looked very nice.
Yeah, you never know. And a silver shout out, Sylvester, who's Slovenian playing in the Danish league. So have fun working him into a team. But he's got 86 pace, 77 dribbling, and 80 shooting as a striker, and he's 5'10", 4-star weak foot, only 3-star skills, but he looks decent.
And the return of Jota, which
a different
Jota, which is very disappointing because someone had accidentally put the wrong Jota in there.
In their prediction.
In a sort of prediction or something. I was quite excited, but it turns out that it's...
A second informed Diogo Jota would be awesome. Yeah. Whereas this guy is a pretty mediocre looking silver.
Yeah.
But, Ben, who's your first card to take a much more in-depth look at?
Well, the first card I was going to look at is a guy who I think everyone should pick up this week. Mainly because there's a possibility that he could get a skill upgrade. We're looking at your man Serge Gnabry. Obviously, it'll hurt a lot of Arsenal fans, especially Horace, to hear that he's having great success in the Bundesliga. But he's had this inform card, and the good thing about this inform card is it's been upgraded. He's had a lot of upgrades because he's gone from a silver. He's got a silver inform. He's been upgraded to a 77 gold, and now he's got an inform. So there's lots of sort of boosted stats going on.
Yeah.
His silver right mid is like one of the most average cards. I mean, it's a good silver. It's an okay silver card, I think you'd say. But it looks like a really strong gold card because he's an 81 rated player. But I was looking at his stats with Sniper. He's got 73 strength, which is a good starting point for a striker. But obviously, the thing he's got is that pace, 92 acceleration, 88 sprint speed. And then with Sniper, 93 agility, 99 balance, 99 dribbling, 88 ball control, and 83 reactions. So you can't really ask for much more than that. And then onto the shooting, 95 finishing, 93 positioning, solid at long shots as well, 80 at 2 shot power, 81 long shots, and 98 penalties if you need to take penalties with him. That's helpful. And 81 short passing, 75 vision should do the job. So I think the key thing that we're talking about here is he is very unique. He fills a bit of a niche. There aren't really any really quick... I mean, you've got that guy... Is it Werner?
Timo Werner.
Werner.
For RB Leipzig.
Yeah, he looks okay. But I don't know. He's not great. Like he's the kind of player that's like got pace, but that's about it. And his finishing is kind of average. When I played against him, he's kind of struggled to finish any chances.
He has just had an upgrade.
But yeah, that might make a bit of a difference. But I think the really crucial thing about this Gnabry card is that it is quite possible on head-to-head he has 4-star skills.
Yeah.
And if he gets skill upgrade, which is expected around April, he could be one of the better strikers in the league just because of his pace, 4-star skills, decent strength, and obviously good finishing with Sniper. So I think he's 35k as we speak. He was like 30k last night. But I think once you're listening to this, once all the packs have been opened from Weekend League rewards, I reckon he could be a really, really kind of good value player. And obviously people aren't looking at Bundesliga so much, having just had to use it last weekend. So hopefully you can see a good price for him.
Could be slightly overlooked. Well, I'm going to move on to a card that has been sort of touted as one of the many new Kantes. It feels like any kind of remotely all-round midfielder is being labelled the new Kante at the moment. But this is Inform Idrissa Gana Gueye of Everton. We had a closer look at his 82 rated upgrade card last week and were saying it looked really, really solid. Maybe not quite on the level of Kante, but really good. Now he's had an upgrade and he's had another boost to some stats. Got this Inform. I decided I'd compare him to the 83 rated upgraded Kante. And to be honest, there isn't much between them really.
No.
In terms of pace, Kante wins out just, but only by a couple of stats on sprint speed. They've got the same acceleration. Gueye wins on shooting massively. Kante's only stats that are better there are finishing and volleys. Finishing by a little bit, but long shots and shot power, positioning on Gueye are way better. He's actually got 96 shot power, which is quite nice.
Is actually quite nice, but Kante does seem to be able to finish most things.
Yeah, something about Kante. He's got that special hidden trait of finishes goals when it really matters.
Yeah.
Then if you look at passing, again, there's not much between them. Gueye actually wins out on vision, long passing and short passing, but only by one stat, and 3 stats respectively. And so it's a marginal increase.
And also short passing is pretty easy to boost with the chem stars actually.
Yeah, exactly. Dribbling, again, they're very, very comparable. The only significant difference is Kante has 91 balance to Gueye's 86, but Gueye has 81 agility to Kante's 74. So how those two work out, probably Gueye will feel lighter on the ball, but Kante will be harder to knock off it.
Yeah.
Would be probably the overall difference there. Somewhere where Kante does win fairly convincingly is defending. They've got 90 and 92 interceptions, respectively. Gueye 90, Kante 92. But then Kante has 84 sliding tackle, 88 standing tackle to Gueye's 81 and 83. And when you look in the physicals, Kante wins out on aggression. He wins out on stamina just by 1 point. I think really there isn't that much between these two cards. And even the upgraded Kante is only 30k, depending on console, whereas Gueye at the moment is well over 100.
So if you're looking for someone who's slightly better in the air and slightly better at long shots, then Gueye is your man. But for everything else, I mean, you're going to pay so much less for that Kante.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, the difference between the 83 and the 81 Kante is fairly marginal. With the right chem style, this game might not really feel like much of an upgrade on Kante. And he does only have 2-star skills, because we all know that people have Kante for the roulettes.
Yeah, I certainly do.
But he is a couple of inches taller, and he does have that shooting.
Yeah.
So it's one to weigh up.
It's an interesting comparison, though, and worth remembering. If you're desperate to use the Gay, then you might already have the real Gay in your club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Ben, you've got another next Kante.
Well, yeah, okay, so this is another player who people like to think is the next Kante. And so it's Naby Keita. So having done Gnabry, I've moved on to Naby. But he's a totally different player. Like, he's way more attacking. He's got a high attacking work rate, medium defensive. And if you look at his passing, dribbling, and shooting just as standard, there's an argument that you just wouldn't bother boosting any of that. I mean, 97 short passing, 95 vision, 88 long passing, 89 dribbling, 93 agility, 99 balance, good ball control reactions, 82 finishing, 90 shot power, and 76 long shots. I mean, there's not much you'd want to do there. But what I was kind of thinking is, although, he's not an attacking player, if you wanted him as a box-to-box CDM, perhaps, so a more defensive, more defensive midfielder, despite his height, I think he'd probably be quite effective, because with Anchor, so that's boosting all the stats that I suppose are slightly worse, he gets 98 acceleration, 88 sprint speed, 99 interceptions, 93 stand tackle, 88 sliding tackle, 77 marking, probably one of the only weaker stats, 78 jumping, which isn't great with his height, but 99 stamina, that's just standard, 81 strength, and 99 aggression. So, he looks like he could do a job in a defensive role, and personally, I wouldn't play him too far forward, just because he's good at dribbling, but I don't know whether he doesn't have sort of skill moves.
They're better out-and-out attacking players.
So I think having him in that box-to-box role, maybe you'd use him as a wide centre mid with maybe Engine or something, but or something to boost his shooting even. But he does look really, really, really good. And I mean, it's just an interesting thing EA have been doing with throwing out all these informs. Obviously, previously with having to beat your previous informs performance, or roughly that wasn't always the case. Naby obviously may not have had a card like this in previous years, but it's great to see, actually. I think certainly players like, it's kind of boring seeing players like Higo and get loads of informs, but when you see something like Naby, I think it's a really good thing that they've done this year.
Well, it's really interesting that he started out as 76 rated?
75, I think.
75 rated non-rare gold card. And he's had, after an upgrade and 3 informs, he's now arguably the best midfielder in that league. I mean, Arturo Vidal and Renato Sanchez are in there, but other than that, definitely
he's definitely better than Renato now, I would have thought.
Yeah, you'd think. And it's nice to see that players can get completely transformed in this game. I mean, you were saying there are better out-and-out attacking players than Keita. This is my next player, who is definitely an out-and-out attacker. He's a transfer, he's a winter one to watch. It's Memphis Depay. His second in form this year.
This was annoying, because I was thinking of picking up one of his one to watch cards, and I was just like, because as mentioned, as a supporter, I've watched him quite a few times over the past year or so, and he's just been pretty bad. Apart from one time he rainbow flicked a guy in the Europa League or something. I mean, he's been pretty average.
Yeah. Oh, I think I might have mentioned it on the pod just after he got transferred to Lyon. There was I saw a video on Twitter doing the rounds, and the title of the video was Memphis Depay scores unbelievable bicycle, or Memphis Depay with unbelievable bicycle kick in his first start for Lyon. And it's just him. It's in the box. The ball's coming to him. It's a fairly comfortable height, and he tries this really acrobatic volley and gets it completely wrong, and just slices the ball straight up in the air, and ends up in a crumpled heap on the ground. And I was thinking, that's sort of more what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But apparently he's got himself an inform, and it's quite a nice looking card, because it stacks on top of the 83 inform he got at United, so it's now an 85. Pace, really solid. I mean, you could max it out if you use a Hunter chem style on him. He'd get 99 acceleration and sprint speed, but I think 95, 92 is fine. And I was looking at him with the sniper chem style, because his long shots and shot power by default are 91 and 99. So you don't need to boost those, and sniper is the only shooting boost that doesn't actually boost either of those, so you're not going to get any stat wastage. And his finishing is probably the weakest part of his the kind of 3 most important shooting stats: long shot, shot power, and finishing. With sniper, his finishing goes up to 96, and his positioning goes up to 94. which is, I mean,
should make him quite a poacher.
Really, really solid stats. His volley's also 87, 89 penalties, decent. And it makes his dribbling look phenomenal. 93 agility, 98 balance, 90 ball control, and 99 dribbling. If you couple that with his 87 strength, I think he could be a real nightmare to push off the ball out on the wing. Yeah, I mean, we were even kind of comparing him sort of to Sadio Mane. He's like the left wing version of that card with the ridiculous strength. If you use something like Marksman, he gets 92 strength. And if you use Finisher, he gets 97. Though then you've got a lot of stat wastage in shot power because it's already maxed out, and Finisher puts 15 points into shot power. So you probably don't want to do that. I think the 87 strength combined with the ridiculous balance you get from something like Sniper
should be good enough.
Should be fine.
And actually, he's one of those players that really benefits from using certain chem styles on. Some players you just find you can't quite find the right thing to get it.
Yeah, the stats don't quite match up to the balance of stats that different chem styles give.
And it's one of those things where I always find it difficult, comparing two players side by side because with just their base stats, because it's actually what chemistry styles do, which makes a huge difference, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I think that's a really good shout.
It's really good. One thing to note, 2-star weak foot.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty crucial. But 4-star skills, and also, I mean, undoubtedly the best left wing in the league.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
And the other thing is, obviously, Di Maria has quite poor weak foot, but if you put them on right and left, you can actually use swap wings in game. If you press up on the D-pad and then press left, you get them to swap wings. So you could just keep kind of, depending whether you wanted to cut in or go wide, you could just keep kind of switching them over.
And yeah, one thing I completely forgot to mention is he's got 99 free kick accuracy, 94 curve by default. Combined with that shot power, he should be ridiculously good at free kicks. We've both been talking about how kind of free kick stats, you want a balance rather than any one stat to be overwhelming, particularly shot power. So hopefully with 99 accuracy, 94 curve, you can kind of manage his 99 power. Exactly. And he does have the takes powerful driven free kicks trait. So could be one to try out there.
Yeah, and especially as we were just talking earlier in the pod about free kicks and how to use them.
Yeah.
I think that's a good person to use.
Awesome. Let's move on to some of those European Man of the Match cards.
Yeah. So who do you think's kind of your standout from this bunch of players? How many have we got there? About
11.
11, yeah.
Yeah, and they release these on Friday and in packs, I think, until tomorrow, Friday. So they're in packs for a full week. So there should be a decent number of a lot of them around. Obviously, you've got Aguero, kind of standout card. Also, maybe a shout out to Piacha, the Juve Croatian right mid. Pretty dodgy shooting, but otherwise looks like a really solid winger.
Yeah.
And Nabil Fekir, who's got a now purchasable card that's almost exactly the same as the SBC he got during the Advent Calendar SBCs. But yeah, if I was going to look at a card in particular, or one that I've actually picked up, Lars Stindl. This is the second inform for him. I think we mentioned his inform in a rundown of the Team of the Week once, because he looked kind of really solid all round. The card's a striker by default, but he's got really, really decent card stats. Kind of his lowest two stats are 75 pace and 74 defending. But outside of that, he's got 87 dribbling, 90 shooting, 85 passing, and 81 physical. And I was thinking, yeah, the card's a striker by default, but with that defending, if you boost that with the chem style, he could actually probably be a really, really solid kind of box-to-box midfielder. So if you use Shadow on him, then in terms of his card stats, it takes his pace up to 86 and his defending to 87. The way that kind of equates to actual in-game stats, he's got be fairly heavily weighted to acceleration over sprint speed, 93-81. But that's quite good in the midfield because I think we've spoken about with other cards, you don't necessarily need the sprint speed for kind of long distance sprints. It's about covering short distances. And on his defending stats, you get 89 interceptions, 86 heading accuracy, 86 marking, 89 standing tackle, and a slightly lackluster 79 sliding tackle.
But yeah,
it's not so important. Outside of that, you've still got the 90 shooting, with 90 finishing, 92 shot power, 88 long shots.
I mean, the great thing is the worst stat he's got in shooting is penalties.
Yeah, exactly, which is probably the most player skill dependent shooting thing. Kind of,
it's the least useful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the least useful. And depending on what chem style you use, if you wanted to make him a more attacking player, you can either remedy that penalty stat or really focus on the other ones and make him truly excellent in that area. Passing, 88 vision, 90 short passing. Disappointing 73 long passing. Yeah, maybe not great. But he does have 89 stamina and a perfectly serviceable 76 strength. Again, you could maybe use Anchor, potentially. Slightly less defending and pace, but it takes his strength up to 86. I don't know. I just looked at him and thought he looks like a really, really solid all-round card.
Yeah.
And I'm quite interested to try him out as a midfielder rather than a striker.
I suppose he's like reasonably cheap, sort of under 30.
Yeah, at the moment he's kind of hovering around. He was 35k I think earlier today. He's up at 36, 37. This is on Xbox. It's actually closer to 50k on PlayStation. Maybe those people on PlayStation don't have Legends, I guess.
Well, yeah, because it's always a discussion. Why is it
more expensive on PlayStation?
But maybe is just more cash going into normal players rather than Legends.
Yeah, although those clever PlayStation players have picked this guy out for the gem he might be.
Yeah.
And he is 6 foot tall, 4-star weak foot, 3-star skills. So a pretty solid choice. Ben, anyone you wanted to highlight?
Well, those who've followed the pod recently will know I'm a huge fan of Abubakar, and he's going to be my pick because Abubakar's one of those players that he doesn't really get much of a look in when people are talking about really top strikers, because his initial card was only a 78. His stats look pretty average on the card when you look at that 78 card. 82 pace, 80 physical, the only stats above 80. But actually with his two man of the match cards, in fact he's probably one of the few players who's managed to get both types of man of the match card.
There are actually 3 types of man of the match cards. There's the blue ones for like international club competitions, the orange ones for domestic cup competitions, and the kind of dark orange reddy ones for international matches.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's how it works.
Cool. Yeah, so he's managed to pick up 2 different types of card, which is nice. Possibly one of the few players to do so. Yeah, so I was saying I've used his original man of the match card, which was excellent. The thing about it was that he's a bit of a master of all trades. Master of all trades? No, a jack of all trades. And a master of no particular one in the case of that man of the match card. But that still made a very solid striker. Like, I was still perfectly happy to use him, and he was very effective. He's got really good strength. But this next card really kind of just tips the balance a little bit, because I was looking at him with Sniper. The one thing to say is he's got 89 strength, so he's obviously going to be kind of pretty difficult to knock off the ball. But he's got quite good pace, but it's mainly 89 sprint speed and 82 acceleration. But the one thing about him, when he gets going, he's just like such a train. Like, you just cannot stop him unless you're sort of directly in front of him. And with Sniper, he gets 89 agility as well, which is ridiculous for a guy with 89 strength. I put a picture of his stats with basic on our Twitter, and quite a few people thought it was one of the Lukaku special cards. But like saw his agility and were like, no, it's not. So yeah, really, really quick. Great agility, 99 dribbling with Sniper, 89 ball control. You've got good reactions, great jumping, stamina and aggression, quite solid, low 80s. And then 98 finishing, which is obviously going to do the job. 86 shot power, so you don't need to boost that. That's why you can go with Sniper. 80 long shots, which is pretty solid. 87 volleys and 94 positioning. So, and also 85 short passing, 88 vision, just standard.
Yeah, I mean, those are phenomenal stats for link-up play.
Yeah, and I was thinking I might play him as because I got really into the false 9 formation, the 4-3-3-5. So I was thinking I might even try him there as a centre forward. Slightly awkward to link, but because he's Cameroon, it's not the easiest nation to sort of hybrid off. Yeah, but but obviously Quaresma in form, nice link there.
Yeah, very nice. Outside of that, I mean, there's a left back, Escudero, who looks all right, but I feel like there are plenty of good left backs in La Liga, to be honest. He's not special. It's all right. It's nice to see EA release these cards.
Particularly stand out, apart from that, to be honest. The ones that we've mentioned.
No, let's move on.
So who's your player of the week?
Well, my player of the week is a guy, he's an upgrade, and he's a card that I used in this latest weekend league.
But weirdly, I believe he's a non-rare, isn't he?
Yeah, he's an 82 rated non-rare CDM. He plays for Las Palmas in La Liga, and his name is Roque Mesa. He's upgraded from a 79, and I was just looking for a player to kind of fill a gap in my team. I kind of, going into the weekend league, I decided I'd sell on a few players and just take advantage of the really high prices for all the La Liga players, and kind of there are a whole bunch of players that I had in my club for ages, and I sort of accepted I was going to take a loss on them. And then this came up as sort of the last opportunity to break even or even make a profit on some of them. So I just sold them on. And then I spotted this guy in the upgrades and thought he looked really, really solid. He's got 78 pace, 77 dribbling, 75 passing, 73 defending, and 80 physical by default, which is really, really solid all-round stats. And I decided to stick engine on him because I wanted him sort of bit box to boxy, and sort of I wanted to improve him on the ball, and also just use him as a transition player, kind of get the ball to him and lay it off, kind of very high percentage passes. Just use him to hold the ball, because you need that in weekend league a lot of the time. Kind of possession can be very important as much as counter attacking. And with Engine, he gets 89 acceleration, 83 sprint speed, 85 agility, 99 balance, 87 reactions, 82 ball control, 84 dribbling. So that 99 balance is particularly important because he's got quite low strength at 67, and he is tiny. He's like 5'6", 5'7" tall, but he's got 93 aggression. And that combination of balance and aggression makes him actually...
A bit like Kantes,
yeah. He doesn't have the best...
all about the Kantes.
all about the Kante comparisons. But a bit like Kante, he doesn't have the best strength. It can kind of compensate for that and allow him to hold off much bigger players. And then the Engine chem style also takes his vision up to 80. So at 75 by default, that's slightly lacking. And his short passing up to 96, which is really, really excellent, to be honest. And then his defending stats, they're not brilliant without a boost, but he does have only 32 heading accuracy, which means his 73 defending on card is actually a bit of a lie. He gets by default 82 interceptions, 81 standing tackle, 82 sliding tackle,
which is really strong.
Really, really solid card. And then his shooting, don't really need to look at that. They're all sort of in the 60s and 50s. I did score a couple of goals with him, but just they were kind of, one was a tap in and one was quite a surprising finish, which I think got me a game to go to extra time, which otherwise wouldn't have, where he just hammered it past the keeper. But it was one of those where it's quite a low percentage chance, and I got a bit lucky. But I mean, if you're looking for a player to fill a gap in a La Liga team or a Spanish team, he's actually quite unique in that league. There aren't many players like him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting because he's obviously non-rare, but he's actually probably one of the best players in that particular role. Yeah,
there are a lot of Spanish midfielders who are a bit clunky, a bit slower on the ball, almost in the kind of Busquets mould. I'm thinking players like Bruno and that sort of player who are a lot taller, stronger physically, and an excellent passing, but just not very good on the ball. Whereas Roque Mesa is a kind of much more kind of niggly, high energy, dynamic player. Yeah. And he's currently about 1,000 coins on PlayStation and under 1,000 on Xbox.
So you might say he's a dynamite discard.
You might say that. So a bit of a throwback to people who've been listening since the earlier weeks. But moving on to this week's Informed Impression, which is certainly not a card that you would want to discard.
No, he isn't. That did sound like you were suggesting that I had discarded him or something, which,
no.
knowing what I've been up to this year, would not surprise anyone. No, it's Ousmane Dembele, and obviously, if you discarded him, you'd lose about 200k. He's the one to watch. Well, the version I've been using is the one to watch, but as everyone knows, that is the same as the Informed, so sort of an informed impression. And I mean, the one to watch, this card is a great card, and if you got another Informed, I mean, that'd be absolutely phenomenal. But one of the things that I was quite interested in when I saw he'd kind of dropped because of the fact that he got an upgrade, which often happened with these cards where people were sort of stockpiling him, I went out and picked myself up a fresh Dembele just because there was one available, and I thought
it's always nice to have a fresh
card.
Nice.
And I think I'm going to kind of stick with him for a while because he is the kind of player I like using, and also he might get a skill upgrade. And that being said, he's of course pretty skillful anyway. I mean, 4-star skills, 5-star weak foot. He's certainly got enough trickery, and actually the fact he can go either way with that weak foot is really, really tidy. I mean, if you're the kind of player who likes to cut in, he's got that left foot, decent finesse shot. I've scored a few around the keeper from the edge of the box sort of area, which is quite nice. Some kind of throwback to FIFA 12. And you can also go obviously around the outside and whip something into the box. So yeah, there's a couple of different kind of ways of playing him, and weirdly I started playing him as a cam just because I was switching up the team that I'd built for last weekend to be in the 4-1-2-1-2, and so kind of felt like that was the best position to get the most out of him. Had Maestro on him, so he had ridiculous short passing, because it was actually 99 because he's got 90 short passing as standard on the card and 91 vision. So that was it. He was very good at passing. He was very nippy. He'd often make runs beyond the striker. He was a good player, but I think there were better, more effective players in that kind of role, and you want someone a bit stronger. He's only got 55 strength and 59 aggression, so you want someone a bit stronger and someone who can kind of maybe help out a bit in defence, which he couldn't really do, apart from using his pace to get people, I suppose. So it was, I don't know, it was good at cam, but when I moved him out to right wing in the false line formation, he sort of started to come into his own a bit, I think. Which is rare because often you find that players do better in the centre as a rule, especially in FIFA 17.
Well, certainly in terms of kind of goals and assists contribution.
Yeah.
I think most people's Most people's goals come through the middle, I think.
Yeah.
And
he did have quite a good return for me. I mean, he got like 19 assists and 11 goals in 30 games or something. So
basically creating or scoring a goal a game, which is really solid. I mean, I also used him. I picked him up about the same time as you did. And I was subbing him on for the most part. So I wasn't actually using him at kind of maximum capacity. He would have been sort of toned down.
Between 6 and 7 chems.
Yeah, kind of somewhere between 6 and 7 chem. Which might be a contributing factor to why I didn't really get on with him that well, actually. I kind of, he had moments of brilliance and he felt incredibly quick. His dribbling was good, but he just didn't feel that clinical for me. It felt like he missed quite a few very big chances for me. And it may just have been that kind of my weekend league ended up being a bit of a disappointment, and I kind of was frustrated with him, and it happened to coincide kind of me not playing well and me using him. Rather than it being anything to do with his card, because the stats are really, really strong. But for whatever reason, I just didn't quite get on with him.
Yeah,
well.
I suppose I've had quite a lot of experience with that kind of player, having used Neymar. Neymar's obviously not very strong, but is exceptionally quick and good at sort of providing some end product. So I suppose maybe I was kind of more used to that kind of player.
I've already been spoiled by Zlatan and
Yeah.
Mane.
Yeah, I suppose that is the thing. They don't have
very
strength.
used to strong players this
Yeah,
year.
and I think a lot of people do. These kind of players like Neymar and Dembele, I think are quite underutilized in the weekend league. Maybe because of that. If you go shoulder to shoulder, you're likely to lose out. But I've sort of managed to work my game a bit to mean that with a bit of trigger dribbling or a bit of ball roll here, ball roll there, that you can sort of and definite McGeady spins / Berber spins. It's kind of hopefully meant that I don't rely so much on the strength in wing play, and actually playing that false line formation where the wingers tend to have more space. I think you kind of do all right, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a card. I think you mentioned if you were to get another inform or two more informs or just any more special cards, he will look really, really nice.
Yeah,
and the eventual team of the season will be a terrifying card.
Yeah, and I think his sniper. I was looking at his stats because I was playing Maestro to get the best out of his passing, but actually I think sniper would probably be the way forward. Certainly now he's on the wing because it maxes out his finishing and also gives him above 90 balance, which standard is 82, and also his agility is 89, which is strong. But for a winger who is all about that movement, dribbling and ability on the ball, I think I'd probably look to use sniper to boost that as well. So I'll let people know how I find him on that right wing position this coming weekend league.
Cool. Well, that wraps us up for that.
Very nice.
Sort of brings us to the end of this episode.
Yeah, and just a quick reminder before we leave you, you can subscribe to FUT Weekly Podcast through various podcasting platforms, iTunes, Android app, all that good stuff. You just search FUT Weekly, actually, and we should appear straight away. You can also follow links on our Twitter or on our blog at FUT Weekly Pod for the Twitter. Oh, also, you can watch it on YouTube, but, I mean, to be honest, podcasting's just better. You get it sooner, it's easier. You can download it, take it on the go. It downloads for you if you're smart. Yeah,
it's just a bit better all round, really. Yeah, and I guess the last thing to mention before we call it a day, I'm not going to be here next week. I'm off on holiday.
Snake.
Abandoning Ben to do the pod all by himself. But it's fine. Jamie will be here for a slightly longer section. And we were wondering if anyone had any suggestions for anything else we could do in the pod without me.
Exactly. I mean, I'll have a bit more time if we just do a quick section with Jamie and put that up. If you've got any other suggestions, things I might be able to do on my own, not that, or anything else, then please let us know, as long as it's not illegal or involves singing or dancing.
Yeah. I mean, Ben's great at both of those. But
yeah, well, I just don't want to embarrass everyone.
Yeah.
Sure. And also, just hit us up on Twitter, as we said, at FUT Weekly Pod.
Awesome. See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.